My name is Ivan Merrill. I am product owner of Observability, amongst other things, in Ahold Delhaize. You know that as Albert Heijn, Ethos, Harl and Harl. In the thing, we deliver about 40% of the country's food or feed 40% of the nation, whatever that works out at. So that's what I do now. I have a long background in doing this. I started working in monitoring and observability in 2006 with Microsoft Operations Manager. That's now called Systems Operations Manager. I've worked with every tool thingy about that IBM Netcall, yep, done that, Zabbix, Tivoli, all of that stuff. Many big implementations. Was implementing HSBC's internet banking platform in 2008 with auto instrumentation and tracing and stuff, but a long time of doing this. So hopefully that means that I'm qualified to talk to you about my chosen subject. And my chosen subject is this, essentially, don't assume adoption, right? We are all here because we know about the value of monitoring, right, and observability, and it's all great, and we know that it helps us solve everything, and earlier in the software development lifecycle, all that good stuff. We're sold on it. Many people are not. And when I naively started, I thought, build it and they will come, right? That's a lie. Building it will not result in adoption, even if people know about things, even if you've got a great Grafana thing and it looks wonderful. We had a really recent example here. So I was on a call with Vord getting some feedback for the front end thing, and they asked, how do you use this stuff? And our front end developers very helpfully replied, oh, we don't really use it. We just installed it because there was a task on our backlog, right? Okay. Cool. Well done. You got a tick in the box. You adopted Grafana. So now it is my job to go and inspire them, right? And that is essentially what I'm doing. That is part of my role. So the point of this talk is to say humans are difficult, right? And in actual fact, there's a great book. I can never remember the name. Peopleware, Humanware, whatever it's called. Pretty much every project that fails, if you break down to it and say, was this human or technical? There's very little projects that we start across all of humanity that we look at and say, yeah, technically, we can't do that. Just doesn't really happen in tech, right? It is almost always human failures, human issues, human problems that cause a project to fail, right? So hopefully we can all agree with that and accept that. So what are the challenges and obstacles we face, particularly in our chosen domain of monitoring and observability? And how can we help people understand that whilst we know the many benefits, that they're going to get them as well, right? How can we bring humans along with us? Because there are many reasons, many valid reasons why humans aren't adopting things quite often, right? We need to engage humans. Because the first thing you might think is, well, this is an easy problem to solve, technically, right? Automate all the things, yeah? Someone builds something, they deploy it automatically, they get observability, it is there. Nothing for them to do. Wonderful, solved problem, technical. I did this at a company, or some of my peers did this at Capital One. Brilliant idea. You deploy something, you get all of this stuff. But the point is that when they get an alert, if they had no idea what was generating that alert, what the metrics are, they don't really know where that alert is coming from, what are they going to do about it? Probably very little until someone tells them their system actually is broken and they need to go and investigate it and anything else like that, right? So we could enforce things, right? But experience, for me, tells us that's a bad choice, right? We actually need to engage humans. We want them to opt in to something. We want them to cross the line to say, I choose to do this. Humans engaging their brain. A wonderful example for us and how we're doing things at Ahold is we have infrastructure monitoring. We say, we can't monitor your application or tell you when your application is going to be broken, but if all your pods are down, you're going to be having a bad time, right? That we know. So we can generate an alert for you that, and we can use Mimir recording rules, and we can make it super easy for you to adopt. But you have to choose it, right? We will actually make this really compelling choice to you. We will work with the audit, compliance, control teams to say, if you adopt that, look at all of this amount of compliance work, we save you. It's a very compelling story. It's stupid not to, but you have to choose to. All right? We are making the human cross the line. That is very important. Have I missed a slide? No, I haven't. Right, that was earlier than I thought. Don't call the baby ugly. Yeah, so I used to have this team that I worked with. These very kind of, essentially I was a bit scared of them, these very intense developers, right? They were brilliant though, right? And I was quite young in my career, and I went out to them and told them, monitoring is brilliant. It tells you when your stuff is broken. You're going to have some incidents and stuff, and we can help you resolve them. The guy very curtly replied to me, my code is great. Why are you telling me my code is going to break? Why don't you tell me that your monitoring shows me how excellent my code is? Oh, bloody hell, that's a great idea. Why am I trying to sell you on your failure when I should be telling you that I'm helping you sing your successes? This is a simple thing, right? 4 nines. That's an incredibly hard thing to achieve. Be proud of that. Sell that. I help you sell that. For POs, right? Always a much more difficult conversation than the engineers. I help show the great work that your team has done. We sell your success. This is a simple psychological thing, a human change, twist in the story. But it is a big way to encourage adoption because I'm no longer selling failure, I'm selling success. People like success, right? Grafana is an amazing tool for visualization. If you have a Richard George who can create dashboards like he does, do that and show them to people and say, look, this is success. This is what it looks like. Won't your management be really pleased on this? Great. That is a way of selling it, but that is a human way of selling it that does not involve technology, right? And, pictures paint 1,000 words. And Grafana is great at that. SLOs is my go-to, by the way, if you ever want to do this and tell people. It's a really good way to say, we sell your success. When you are starting out in an organization, so I joined Ahold 18 months ago, right? It is clear to me that I am not going to personally be able to be responsible for rolling out to 1,000-something services across 500 engineers and whatever it is with the scale, right? That's too much for me, right? I need others. And I have a team. We're great. Yeah, we call ourselves Cerebro because we use X-Men characters at Ahold for whatever reason. So we need to make friends, right? We cannot do this all alone, and we need to find people who are intrinsically motivated to do things, right? Generally, they kind of come out to you. You recognize them as the people that maybe are a bit battle-scarred, have been in incidents with no data. Can you all hear that crackle, by the way? Is that okay? Sorry. Is it me moving? Okay, I'll try and stand still, but that's very difficult for me. You need to make friends in an organization, right? You need to make friends. You cannot go alone. Generally, they will come to you and they are intrinsically interested. These are your people. Do not lose them, yeah? Culture, like that friendship, right? Identify these people and, work with them. They are your friends and allies, yeah? And you need to build that relationship, right? Because what they're going to do is they're going to make really great early adopters, right? I hope we're all settled on the idea that we don't just release something to the whole organization and say, everyone go wild, right? We have a bunch of early adopters, yeah? These are your early adopters, your friends, yeah? Engage with them, foster that relationship. Because ultimately, when it comes to a wider rollout, we need trust. Right? And trust is something that is really hard to gain, but so easy to lose. And again, it's very human. Work with your early adopters. The people that came to you, they are intrinsically motivated. They want to find solutions. Yeah? You don't have to tell them to prioritize stuff on their backlog and all that. They'll do it. You make friends with them, you use them as early adopters, you get that feedback, you sit on incidents with them, you do everything you can to earn their trust, to get their buy-in early on. You will be rewarded times 1,000 later on, right? Because then you have not just the fact that you've overcome technical challenges, onboarding, all that stuff, but you actually have human advocates, allies in your organization. Right? So build trust, bring this community together, get them working together. It's all so important, right? Trust is a precious commodity. It was mentioned earlier, I think, in the TomTom talk, and I completely agree with it, right? Build a happy path. We already discussed earlier that standardization stuff is good up to a point. I have my infrastructure monitoring. I make my teams adopt it, but I make it easy for them to do so, right? And we want to do that, right? We want to make it easy for them to do the right thing. We don't mandate. We don't say, you have to do this, or we will definitely give this, or it doesn't matter whether you like it or not, you've got it, right? We say, happy path. Come join us on our happy path. It's really easy. Look at all the stuff you get for free. We want you to do it. It should be a stupidly obvious decision to come join me on my happy path. If it isn't, right, if there is friction, I need to go out and work out what that friction is, meet you there, and let's resolve it, all right? This is what we need to do. This is an exhausting, continual task, right? But you need to do it. Provide a happy experience, yeah? When I first did this talk, it was a slightly changed thing, and I called it, developers are creative problem solvers. Don't look like a problem, or they'll solve you, right? But that is what comes in here. If your happy path looks like a problem, they'll spin up their own instance. You won't know about it, right? They'll do something else, they'll solve you. Your happy path needs to look simple so that they know to do it. Also, I did kind of mention it, but the happy path is not static. As your technology evolves, as new things go out, as your backend team starts looking at Kotlin as well as Java and all that stuff, go with them. Documentation is important. It's important in terms of my internal documentation. It's important on the external documentation. This is one of the actual points where I can talk about Grafana. There is no other tool out there that has an ecosystem in the same way that Grafana has us, right? My God, use it. While I've been here, someone's been talking to me and said, should we write documentation about how to interact with the Grafana API? I'm like, no, Grafana's done that. Let's not repeat that. Point them there. But however, for everything that is our flavor of things that we do, we document, right? With our observability team, we had documentation before we'd released the product. We had onboarding guides. We knew everything. It is so important. It is everything that you do. With one of my previous teams, I joked to them about documentation week. They laughed until I actually gave them documentation week, and everyone worked on nothing but documentation, and they were so happy, and they hated me. But it was important, right? We'd reached a point where our products had evolved and our documentation no longer reflected reality. And that created this thing that impacted our trust, which we know is so important and we need it and we protect it. So we go back and we update our documentation, right? Documentation, 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 documentation. It is so important, but also another thing, right? From our point of view, this is how we scale. Yeah? I'm not answering the same question to all 1,500 engineers. I'm writing it once in Confluence and sending everyone that link, right? This is how we scale. If you answered that question 10 times, you should have documented it. It's a form of automation. But also start referring people to that documentation. Don't answer the question, point to the documentation. Generate that self-service culture where people start looking in your docs first. Otherwise, you won't scale. It's also, by the way, just how you look a lot less scary. If we come back to one of these human factors, right? New technology is scary for people, and if they don't know Grafana or PromQL or anything else like that, that's off-putting to them. They will not engage with you because you look scary. Give them some documents. You look less scary. Woohoo! Provide safety. This is hard, and it takes a long time, right? But we always have dedicated communication channels for questions and everything else like that. But treat people with respect. They are humans. It might be, yes, a stupid question, but, right? Let's go with it. If it's a stupid question, why don't we put it in our documentation and never answer it again, right? Let's meet them there. They're humans, okay? We have to provide safety because we do want people to overcome their fear of engaging with us and onboarding with our technology, because otherwise they won't onboard, and we want them to onboard, right? Ultimately, we need them to need us, right? In a kind of weird way, right? If our engineers don't need the services that we provide, then I'm sure out of luck, right? So I need them to need us. And I do that by engaging with them, and I provide them safety. We provide community channels. We really respect them. We answer these things. We engage with them. It's hard, but, it takes time, but it will get there. If you keep working and investing on your relationship with your customers, your peers, whoever you want to call them, right? You get this wonderful point where you get people over here asking a question which is responded to by people over here in the organization. Nothing to do with our team, right? And the team over here is saying, oh, by the way, that's in the documents. Here's the link. Brilliant, right? All of those people are not to do with our team. It is not by luck that we've been in 3 organizations now and all 3 teams have had it. It's because we've been intentful on that, right? We've respected these people as humans. We've really worked hard to engage with them. We've made them feel safe to ask those questions. They do it. We've created this lovely community. Okay? Worthwhile. Because ultimately, there is kind of one thing that I want everyone to remember. And I'm a bit quicker than I thought I was, actually. They are your customers. Yeah? Never, ever forget this. When I first joined this team in Ahold, the first thing pretty much changed. I'm not even going to get into the technology and what we're doing and everything else like that, right? The first thing is we have a support channel, but we have no one answering it. What is going on, people? They are our customers. Yeah? They are the point that we get paid. If you want to take it really that way, right? Why aren't we engaging with them? Yeah? And there are ways of engaging. At one point, people were like, why don't we just have GitHub discussions? And my always thing is if I run, Diggo or KPN, and I'm not trying to offend anyone, I don't know who customers are here, but anyway, if I run one of those companies and ask for customer support because my broadband isn't working, and they sent me to a forum, I would be annoyed, right? If I got sent to a live chat, I'd be less annoyed, but still annoyed. If I got a person, then I'm just annoyed that my broadband is working, right? But I feel treated right. This is how we, should be within our organizations. They are our customers. We need them. So hopefully, throughout this talk, you've understood that we have a great technology, we have a great tool. Grafana have done a really good job of providing you with an enticing tool that really makes it possible for observability to be a wonderful thing in your organization. But just because you've bought it, it is not the problem solved. Now you actually face a difficult challenge. And the difficult thing in IT is humans. So with that, thank you very much.